It's huge, it's dirty, it's loud.
Coursing through the middle of one of America's most iconic cities.
It's always been known as the monster.
A concrete giant looms overhead.
People, they call it the monster. Why?
Look at it. It's ugly, it's obnoxious, and it ate up that neighborhood.
Interstate I-10, known as the Claiborne Corridor, cuts through the historic Treme neighborhood of New Orleans, the birthplace of jazz. It's one of the most notorious highways in America.
It killed the center of the black community.
Conceived as a vital passageway to move people and goods across the city, it also left behind a toxic environmental legacy for generations to endure. More than 49 million Americans live within a mile of a highway, where traffic pollution may contribute to startling health risks, including elevated risk of cancer and lung disease, according to an ABC News data analysis done in collaboration with our own stations.
Residents living within 10 miles of Interstate 880 have, on average, twice the cancer risk and are almost twice as likely to develop respiratory illnesses.
We are sacrifice zones. Our communities apparently can be sacrificed for an economic good that does not benefit our neighborhood.
But now, calls for change across the country.
We're here to announce a first-of-its-kind initiative to help cities and towns to deliver a transportation future.
And the struggle to find solutions at the community level.
The amount of tentacles that's attached to this is mind-blowing.
I love Treme. I love Treme.
For nearly her entire life, Amy Stelly has lived beside the Claiborne Corridor.
I really loved growing up in my house. I'm the third generation to live in the house, so we have a long history of residency in Treme. My house is a block and a half from the elevated deck and a half block from the Orleans Avenue ramp.
You can see it.
I can see it all day, every day.
You can smell it.
Yes, all day, every day. The emissions cause all kinds of respiratory ailments, and my house doesn't have air conditioning, so in the summertime I sleep with my windows open.
And the monster gets in.
The monster comes in.
Yeah.
Right.
A self-described freeway fighter,
The first thing I noticed is it's awfully loud down here.
It's very loud.
Amy has long waged war on the highway outside her door.
The Claiborne Expressway is the poster child for urban highways that need to be removed. The highway just destroyed a key artery in the neighborhood, a key place.
By the 1950s, highways were being built across America, establishing vital trade routes and connecting booming suburbia with the nation's business centers downtown. In New Orleans, urban planners began to envision two expressways, one along the river cutting through the famed French Quarter, and another through Treme, one of the oldest African-American communities in the country. White business merchants and lawyers were able to stop the highway plan for the French Quarter, but things went differently on Claiborne.
When you move over to Claiborne Street, which is African-American, mostly poor, there was no conversations. We just woke up one morning and there were the bulldozers.
Historian and lifelong Treme resident Raynard Sanders has spent years researching what Claiborne Avenue was like before the highway ran through it.
This was the cultural and commercial hub for the Treme community. And at one point, there was registered about 120 businesses.
120?
In this 22-block area. And of course, bars and music. So all of the early jazz musicians that created what we love today come from the Treme community, and they played on Claiborne Street.
And at the heart of it all, a towering canopy of oak trees that stretched as far as the eye could see.
This is Claiborne Avenue here, and it's the only neutral ground that had 4 rows of oak trees.
But then construction began.
200 oak trees, they just start tearing them down.
At first glance, it looked like it was bombed out almost.
Yes.
Oak trees replaced with concrete columns. Business and homes reduced to empty lots.
It came straight up Claiborne Street like a quarterback running up the center of the field. And it was like, if you get in the way, you will die.
Fred Johnson was an eyewitness to the destruction.
What did you think at the time?
I didn't know what the hell was going on. All of a sudden, these bulldozers showed up, and the trees started coming up. It was horrible sinful, shameful.
The highway keeps it grimy. It remains in disrepair. Nobody wants to invest in it.
After living in the shadow of the highway most of her life, Amy created the Claiborne Avenue Alliance, a nonprofit with one aim in mind.
I want the highway removed.
Gone.
Gone. There's no in between for me.
But if they get rid of it, what replaces it? Because it's still a major thoroughfare that people get in and out of New Orleans in. That was the purpose of highways, right? To get people in and out as quickly as possible.
Yes, that was the purpose, without the regard for the people who live near it. I understand that we need to transport people, but you have to do it putting people first, not only the people in cars, but the people who live near those arteries.
Amy also began working with environmental scientists.
The reason we're here today is we're going to be doing some basic monitoring of the environment.
Like LSU's Dr. Adrian Kattner, who organizes pollution monitoring field trips near the highway with local science students.
All of those cars deposit particulate matter on us. I live down the street.
We went with them last year. During these field trips, students measure air and soil pollution in a park located directly by the expressway.
Everybody breathing this air, a dangerous thing, because the numbers keep going up. Now it's at 7.
As they approach the highway, the numbers start going up.
Makes me worry about the people that are down here.
But it's sad though, because people have to breathe this in every day because they live so close to it.
Data points echoed by the findings of an ABC News analysis showing Treme residents living within a mile of the I-10 corridor face higher risk of cancer and asthma well above national averages. Although many factors contribute to higher than average health problems, experts say traffic pollution is a known health hazard.
For many here, the only solution to this stretch of I-10 known as the monster is to kill it, destroy it, tear it down. But the reality is, to tear this down would cause a new set of issues.
You just can't up and move that highway. You have to make certain that there's a safety net for the people that has fought, bled, and died and paid dues there.
Like many here, Fred fears removing the highway would gentrify the neighborhood and lead to tax increases, pushing out Treme's longtime residents.
However much I don't like it, I have to understand it's kind of a quagmire. Because certain things have to be done to make certain that folks don't get displaced all over again.
If the highway goes away, there are some that are concerned that the neighborhood will become gentrified.
Right. Well, it is of great fear and a valid fear, so I refuse to see us as damned if you do and damned if you don't.
In 2021, Amy's cause got a shot in the arm from President Biden when he announced the American Jobs Plan would provide funding to reconnect neighborhoods divided by highways.
It's not a plan that tinkers around the edges.
The White House even listed Claiborne by name in the plan's outlines, a prime example of infrastructure that divided communities. Biden proposed $20 billion to tackle the issue nationwide, but ultimately only about $4 billion was allocated over a 5-year period after the new program was combined with another.
Is there enough money to get this done? The math doesn't quite say.
Right. So freeway fighters across the country were upset at the reduction in the budget. It's nowhere near enough to take these things down.
Amy's nonprofit submitted an application to the program anyway, asking for a grant to study the Claiborne Avenue Expressway and reimagine the area without it. Ultimately, the U.S. Department of Transportation chose not to fund Amy's plan. Instead, they offered a $500,000 planning grant towards a $100 million Louisiana state proposal that keeps the highway largely intact but provides better maintenance as well as a public market and performance space underneath the highway. We caught up with Amy in the aftermath of the decision.
If you could speak to Secretary Buttigieg about this matter, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to insist that the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans plan properly and listen to the people and engage us. They aren't making decisions that put our health and well-being first.
The outcome in New Orleans closely mirrors the program's spending at the national level. Only 6 of the 45 winners got money for construction. The other 39 are all planning grants.
I think that the DOT realizes that there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of work to be done.
DOT Secretary Buttigieg declined to be interviewed for this report, and instead the Department of Transportation provided a statement read in part, "There was no assumption that the final iteration of the project proposal will match the state's submitted draft. The purpose of planning grants is to provide resources to allow public engagement and develop a plan that meets the needs of the community," adding that there are many other programs that can be utilized to fund projects that reconnect communities. For now, Amy plans to keep fighting until she sees the highway gone once and for all.
We're not going to be distracted no matter what. We are keeping our eye on the prize, and I do believe that we will be victorious.
Our thanks to Byron. And you can find more on our ABC News investigation examining the health risks associated with highways at abcnews.com.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.